Yeah. Could I speak to Sir Alex Ferguson, please?
From England to Brazil.
Because he's scoring!
Germany to Argentina.
Allá con Maldano Maradona!
We've got you covered. This is the Throw-in with Kit McConico. All right, McConico?
A lot of times I use the word horny.
And Justin Simmons.
Oh! He's a little sensation!
This is the Throw-in.
Danger Zone.
This is the Throw-in every Sunday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. right here, 104.9 AM 1260, streaming worldwide on hornfm.com. I'm Kit McConico, the Smash Justin Simmons, our great producer, Zach Christodolitis behind the glass. So pleased you could join us a beautiful Sunday morning in the capital city. We talk all things the beautiful game here on the Throw-in. If you missed any of it, you can always go back and listen on hornfm.com. We are right there under On Air. You can always go back and listen on SoundCloud, iTunes. We are all over social media, thanks to Justin. We are on Twitter. We are on Facebook. Anywhere you can find us. So please, you could join us today. It is going to be a busy day. The bottom of the hour, David Walding, the founder and GM of the Central Texas Lobos, the semi-pro team in the TPSL based out of Kyle. He's going to join us, and we do have soccer in the Austin area. We've spoken with Danny Woodfill, GM of FC Austin Elite. That is the women's side. We're going to talk a little men's soccer as well. So those of you missing the Aztecs, well, there's soccer. You just got to go out there and support it. Speaking of the Aztecs, there is Aztecs news. Unfortunately, it does not appear that it is good news for those Aztec fans. We'll talk about that. A lot to get to. Week 21 of the MLS, Week 3 of Liga MX Apertura. We have news from Argentina, news from South America. EPL starts in 2 weeks. Week 1 of the 2016-17 season starts Saturday the 13th. The defending champion Foxes of Leicester City take on the Tigers of Hull. And Middlesbrough, with their new man, Brad Guzan, they take on Stoke City. Will Guzan be between the sticks? All that and more. As always, you can join the conversation. Hit us up on the text line, 512-337-3776, or give us a call, 512-447-3776. But before we get to all the headlines, before we get to the soccer news, we check in with the team, and the Smash Justin Simmons, nice enough to steer the ship last week. I was out of town, unfortunately, had some family business to attend to in Houston. Justin did a great job, had our good friends Phil West and Jerome Cortonovis in studio. Some good MLS talk from them. If you missed it, go back and listen. Justin, how's it going, man?
Hey, man, I appreciate all that. But, dude, I was listening to you through your thing, and I was like, man, I am not that smooth when it comes to the rundown. This is why you are the host, man.
Oh, we've got a lot to get to.
But
no
other
time
than that,
to waste.
doing okay.
Well, good. Glad to hear it. Zach has his sisters with us, Melina and Olivia. Olivia, she's a Man United fan, and I don't know if that's that qualifies as child abuse or not. We'll have to debate that later.
It does in 23 other states.
Yeah, it does. To do that to a young child, to put her behind the 8 ball from the jump.
I know, man.
Is this your father's fault?
She's a huge fan. She's really taken a new fandom, her fandom of Manchester United to the next level.
She apparently is.
Dude,
she apparently starting brawls in London with United with like City fans and Arsenal fans.
She was already
10.
She was already giving me a hard time as soon as she found out I was a City fan.
Yeah, she was giving you the stink eye, wasn't she?
Oh, hard, dude.
Rightfully so.
Total shade. It's like hot outside, but I'm nice and cool under that shade.
Well, we start today south of the border. Argentina, they can't find a coach. The Argentine national team being turned down by former Chilean national team coach, current Sevilla man, Jorge Sampaoli, turning down Argentina, says, I don't want that job, and maybe the right decision. The Argentine FA saying they're going to go to Spain to beg Messi to come back. How bad does this look for arguably the best team in the world?
Isn't that man Argentinian?
He is, and he doesn't want the job.
Wow. Well, I mean, at this point, Kit, I hate to say it, I really can't blame him. It seems like a no-win situation. I mean, you are under this intense pressure where you have to bring home a trophy of some sort of significance, whether it be a Copa America championship or a World Cup, which is exactly what they want, but that doesn't seem like it's going to come anytime soon. And this is with arguably probably the strongest generation of Argentinian players ever to grace a starting 11 pitch.
Sampaoli turns him down. Bielsa turns him down. Nobody wants this job after Tata Martino stepping down, fired, however you want to put it, after the debacle and the loss to Chile, second Copa America in a row in penalty kicks. Messi's not on this team. He's showing no signs that he's going to come back. I think he will, but for right now, things not looking good for Argentina. The names that are coming up, former River head coach El Pelado Ramon Diaz, he was the coach of Paraguay. The name that intrigues me, the name that intrigues a lot of people is Carlos Bianchi. Bianchi, the longtime Boca head coach, but he hasn't coached since 2014. He was the only coach to lead a team to 4 Copa Libertadores titles, the Champions League of South America.
I now know how serious they take it now.
But he showed no signs that he wants this job. Yeah, we'll talk about how serious Copa Libertadores is in a second. Who takes this job? Who's the next coach of Argentina?
Well, it sounds like it has to be somebody that obviously is from South America. I can't foresee any European coach coming over or anybody else from Mexico or anything like that going over to Argentina and trying to take over this team. And again, it's just this issue of like, what is next in the pipeline after Messi, after Aguero, after Higuain? I don't see a strong foundation coming through. We know there will always be strikers in abundance, but what else do you have to replace somebody like Mascherano, who's getting up there in age?
And
too?
You're right. There are strikers. You've got Mauro Icardi, the guy at Inter Milan who Arsenal's looking at right now. He can play. You've got young players like Eric Lamela at Tottenham. But for Argentina, they're always going to have goal scorers. The question is, in the midfield and the defense, I don't see somebody. I mean, you've got Matias Cranaviter at Atletico Madrid. People are kind of saying that he could be the next Mascherano. I don't know if that's going to happen. Argentina, their window may well have passed. And as an Argentine fan, that pains me to say, if Messi doesn't win a title for the senior national team, if he decides not to come back for Russia, as good as he is, everything he's won for Barcelona, it doesn't matter. He is never going to be that guy in Argentina, and that's terrible for him. Everything he's done for his country, as much as he loves it, he's never going to be the top dog.
And I totally agree with you, because a lot of people from the outside looking in just don't understand how loved somebody like Carlos Tevez is, somebody that came from El Apache and rose to the ranks to the greatest heights of the world level of this game has ever seen. And it was a shame that he wasn't on that 2014 squad. And that partially has to do with Messi, doesn't it?
I have an idea on who could be the next coach.
Who?
When I don't drink too much red wine, then maybe.
They make really good red wine. They've got a lot of Malbec in Argentina. He would be lit pretty much the entire time he was coaching that team.
What do you think?
Well, you already had Maradona coach that team, and God knows what he was on.
Can't get much worse than that.
Why not? I mean, I'm down for Louis van Gaal. I mean, does he know Spanish?
But what you said before is right. There's not going to be a non-Argentine coach for that team. They're not going to take anybody who's not Argentine. I think the one exception would be Pep Guardiola, who's now the head man at your Manchester City, but he's obviously not going to do it. This is a no-win situation. The Argentine FA is in shambles. They can't get things right. I mean,
well, they're part of the problem, aren't they?
They are the problem.
I mean, that's the besides not being able to win these big tournaments and probably having some mental fatigue, a lot of these issues for guys like Messi, even Kun Aguero is saying that he probably isn't interested in playing for the national team any longer due to their federation.
Oh, it's a joke. And you're playing for a team, in the case of Agüero, for Man City, for Messi, for Mascherano, for Barcelona, where everything is good. You've got great front office, great behind the scenes staff. When you're in Argentina, everything is in shambles. Your planes are late. Your food isn't on time. Your cars aren't there. These guys are used to things working. When you're with the national team, nothing works on or off the pitch.
Which is so surprising, because we've seen other national teams that don't have the significance of Argentina get treated like royalty. But the Argentine team, even though they're seen as a somewhat demigod in their country, they don't have all the luxuries that maybe lesser nations actually have when it comes to soccer prowess.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that. I don't know, but I think it's a no-win situation, whoever takes that job. And first and foremost, they've got to bring Messi back. I don't know if he's going to come back. I thought for sure he would, but as time goes on, I'm thinking the chances that he may actually have retired are growing.
Well, maybe when he dyes his hair back to black,
How bad is that look?
We talked about it here last week.
How bad is that look? There was a really very extremely attractive Chilean model who tweeted out a picture saying that he is Barney Rubble from the Flintstones. He's got this little this little stubbly beard, the little blonde dyed hair. It is that's a bad
How
look.
is that look going over in Argentina?
People in Argentina don't care. He could shave his head. He could dye it pink and purple if he wins something for them. But that hasn't happened.
But in Barcelona, I'm pretty sure everybody's going to have that look.
Oh, that is going to be the look in Barcelona. Everybody in Catalonia is going to be rocking the stubble and the dyed blonde hair. Speaking of Argentina, the biggest transfer, third biggest transfer in history, certainly the biggest transfer of the summer, Gonzalo El Pipita Higuain going from Napoli to one of their rivals up north, going to Juventus. And Juventus, I mean, just you want to talk about the rich getting richer, getting better? They didn't need to get better, but they certainly have. But my question is, he's 28 and maybe 29 years old. They paid something ridiculous, like 90 million euros for him. Is that too much for Gonzalo Higuain?
Dude, I have a song about Gonzalo Higuain. You've heard the chant many times. He chokes when it matters the most. Higuain. And you have to do it with that fake English accent for some reason. But I still feel that they paid way too much for a guy that is slowly going to be eking past his prime here. And don't get me wrong, he plays very well in league play as opposed to for his national team. But for Juve, I really do feel that money could have been spent in a better way.
He was the leading goal scorer for the Serie A the last 3 years.
Broke the record
last year with 36 goals. I mean, he can score. He put Napoli in the Champions League group stage, but 28 years old. He's not getting any younger. He's a great forward. He's a great kind of back-to-goal guy. He can hold up play.
The target man, right?
Not particularly quick. And, I mean, obviously, he spent his youth career with my beloved River Plate. I don't think this is money well spent for them. If they can sell Pogba to Man United and recoup 120 million euros, which is ridiculous, then it's another story.
And that's a whole other issue on its own end.
Yeah, we'll talk about that coming up after the break. Also, some news from the Copa Libertadores victory celebrations for Atlético Nacional. They when you win, you're not supposed to kill people, but apparently they didn't get that memo. Also, at the bottom of the hour, we will be joined by David Walding, founder and GM of the Central Texas Lobos, the semi-pro soccer team based out of Kyle. We will talk some local soccer, and not good news for the Aztecs and their possible return to football in 2017. Not looking likely. All that and more coming up next right here on the Throw-In 104.9 AM 1260, streaming worldwide on hornfm.com.
Welcome back to the Throw-In. Here are your hosts, Kit McConico and Justin Simmons.
Welcome back to the Throw-In every Sunday morning from 9 to 10 right here on 104.9 AM 1260, streaming worldwide on hornfm.com. Don't forget, you can download the Horn app, listen to us anywhere you are. Talking all things, a beautiful game. Kit McConico, Justin Simmons, our great producer, Zach Christodolitis. If you missed any of it, go back and listen. We are on SoundCloud. We are on iTunes. You can find us on all of the social media platforms. And as always, let us know what's going on. Hit us up on the text line 512-337-3776 or give us a call 512-447-3776. Bottom of the hour, founder and GM David Walding of the Central Texas Lobos, our semi-pro team from Kyle, will join us, talk about his team. There is soccer in the Austin area, but bad news for the Austin Aztecs. We'll talk about that in a second. Before the break, talked about the victory celebrations, if you want to call them that, down in Medellin, Colombia. Atlético Nacional winning their second ever Copa Libertadores, the first Copa Libertadores in the non-Pablo Escobar era. If you didn't know this, this is the team that Pablo Escobar, this was his team. He bankrolled them. He was a fan in the 80s when he had all the narco money. He was the reason they won a Libertadores. He was the reason they were one of the best teams in South American football. 4 people killed in their Libertadores celebrations. Don't mean to laugh. It's just unfortunate. This is how South American football works. I know that better than anybody. Hundreds injured, more than 600 street fights, and the side from Medellin taking advantage to attack some rivalry, to settle some scores, if you will, with some of the clubs from Bogota. It's how South American football works. That is definitely the case.
But when you say settle the score, how long is these grudges brewing?
Dude, you know how things work in Latin America. No one forgets anything.
I know, but I mean, like, how many years?
I think
never.
I think this is at least from the 80s. I mean, you've got to remember that back in the 80s, all the drug kingpins owned soccer teams. I mean, Millonarios was owned by a cartel or by a drug kingpin. Atlético Nacional, that was Pablo Escobar's team. That was the reason they won. The reason Colombian football was as good as it was, people don't understand this. The reason Colombian football was as good as it was in the 80s and even into the 90s was because of the drug money put in. These guys had so much money and they were fans of the game, so they said, hey, why don't we just own soccer teams? And people said, Colombian soccer has never been really good. How come it's good all of a sudden? Yeah, drug money.
Well,
that's the reason.
Drug money, and when you have guns pointing at you saying that you can't lose, I think that might add a little extra for you to go out there and give your best performance.
Well,
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, of course. The stories of Escobar flying the national team out to his ranch in the middle of nowhere and having them play basically a friendly, and he would play, and they would have all these a pickup game, and then he'd give these guys a few $100,000 cash and fly them back to Bogota or Medellin or Cali or wherever, and he would do this. I mean, a few times a month.
I mean, I'm sure it's a nice luxury, but I mean, can you imagine the mental toll it takes on you as a player, never knowing when you're going to get called, never knowing when you're just going to have to leave your family to go play this pickup game with this crazy man that kind of controls you and your family's life?
He controlled the entire country.
Exactly. That's got to be nuts.
No, thank you. No, thank you. But yeah, we digress. We do have some more soccer news, as we said. Well, we've got all the soccer news. Talking about the transfer of Higuain. We alluded to the transfer. It has not happened yet of Paul Pogba from Juventus to Manchester United.
This has got to be like the worst kept secret ever.
120 million euros is what they're saying. If that's actually the case, Arsene Wenger said it. He goes, "This is ridiculous." I mean, to spend that much money. Don't get me wrong. Pogba's a good player, only 23 years old, but to spend that much money on someone who was basically a no-show in the Euros, he didn't do anything. Griezmann did everything. Pogba, I think he was playing out of position, but I personally think the Higuain transfer for 90 million euros is ridiculous, but this is on another level if it goes through.
I think you're paying for the possibilities down the road with Paul Pogba, because he just looks like he's going to be the next big thing. Of course, he still has some things that he has to work on, but he's so gifted. You don't just get players like this, and obviously, Man United kind of missed the boat on the first go-around with Paul Pogba.
Yeah, and they're going to pay for it if they want it back at Old Trafford. They're going to pay some serious money.
But I think a lot of the reason why we're seeing this big money now all of a sudden is because, similar to the NBA, and I don't mean to get any basketball talk into our soccer talk, but the truth is that both the NBA and the Premier League have signed these huge mega deals for television rights, and that adds a lot of revenue to these clubs, and this allows them to overpay for talent that they normally wouldn't pay that much for.
Raheem Sterling?
Okay, I can admit when we have made mistakes. Jesus Navas being another one.
And the word is that your citizens there on the blue side of Manchester are willing to pay £40 million sterling for John Stones from Everton?
It's those because of the Brexit and
right,
stuff,
and obviously
right?
There's a premium on English players.
There always is, and this is the same argument that we made last season before the Premier League started. I even knew, and I know there's other City fans out there that know that we overpaid for Raheem Sterling. And again, we were paying for promise, and he just didn't have it, unlike Kevin De Bruyne. But De Bruyne, surprisingly to my knowledge, I found out he's about 25 today. I thought he was much younger than that. So Raheem Sterling still has some growing to do.
Yeah, but I would say Kevin De Bruyne, the Belgian, has certainly shown up a lot more than either Raheem Sterling or Jesus Navas in his time there at the Etihad.
Oh, no doubt.
Speaking of EPL, Brad Guzan, U.S. men's national team goalie, he is moving on to Middlesbrough, but he's not even going to start. He's behind Victor Valdez. I don't know how much time he's going to see. What happened to Victor Valdez? He was one of the best goalkeepers in the world, started at Barcelona. Talk about a fall from grace.
Well, at least he's going to have the starting job, unlike Guzan. And that begs to ask the question, how does this affect Guzan's U.S. national team play? Because right now he's still penciled in as a starter, but as Jurgen has said in the past, if you're not playing for your club, don't expect to play for your country.
So are you going to start a guy in Tim Howard who starts in MLS for the Colorado Rapids, or are you going to start a guy who plays in a better league but doesn't play in Brad Guzan in the EPL for Middlesbrough?
No, I do neither. I call Willie Yarbrough and say, hey, man, you ready for first team action or what?
That's it. We call Arch Bell's cousin, Willie Yarbrough,
Exactly.
Bring him up from Las Panzas Verdes of Leon. Saw him at Del Diamond taking on Monarcas Morelia not long ago. The resemblance to Arch, our good friend Arch Bell from ESPN FC, it's uncanny. I was making the joke that, Arch, you spent some time in Mexico. Does your wife know about this? And His daughter was there. I don't think he found it as humorous as I did. But Willie Yarbrough, and the thing about Yarbrough is he could have played for Mexico. He could have played for El Tri, turned him down to play for the red, white, and blue. I think he is the next U.S. goalkeeper, but we've got to get him some time.
I think that's the issue with any U.S. goalkeeper at this juncture is that they need time to develop. And we've had other goalkeepers come through the pipeline, but they kind of aged out along with Tim Howard and Brad Guzan.
Our entire team has aged out. We have no desire to play young talent. Everyone for the U.S. men's national team has aged out. We're still hanging on to these last vestiges of great careers. And don't get me wrong. They were great careers. But if this is the case, why do we not still have Landon Donovan? Donovan is better than half of the players on our national team.
Because he didn't train hard, man. And you know that rubbed Jurgen the wrong way. We saw Allen Iverson say it's practice. It's practice. But apparently
and he would go
some
out
coaches
and score 40 points in a game.
But
enough said.
But Allen Iverson was on a different level than Landon Donovan.
That's debatable. But the point is, it's what you get done during the game. And yes, ultimately, you want a player who's going to give 110%. That's the old, obviously it's not real, but coaches, I want you to go out and give 100%.
It's physically
110%.
impossible.
I want you to train as hard every time. If you can go out and you can play, and if you can score goals, do it.
I wish it was that easy, but it isn't. And, there is one thing I will always say, though. I wish Jurgen did take him to 2014 because I believe that he would have put that ball in the back of the net, unlike Chris Wondolowski. I will give him that.
But we continue to hold on to these guys that are past their prime. If we want to get better, we've got to give the young guys talent. The talented young guys, playing time. And this was my number one bone of contention with the U.S. men's national team in the Copa America. They didn't let the young guys pull a sick. Didn't let these guys get more than 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes a game. If we lose, we lose. We weren't going to win the tournament. We knew that. Why not use it as a learning experience? Get these guys games against real talented teams who hopefully they will see it in the next World Cup instead of playing, and don't get me wrong, you know me, I'm a Texan to the core. I love Clint Dempsey, Nacogdoches' finest, but he's past his prime. Let the young guys get in there, see what they can do. Julian Green had a hat trick in 35 minutes yesterday for Bayern Munich. Yes, it was a friendly, but why are we not letting these guys get time in big international matches?
True, and Pulisic had a goal for Borussia, as we saw him have at the end of the last year, even though this was an exhibition. He's still looking good. I guess the question, I think what it all stems down to is that you have to bring these guys along slowly. You don't want to give them... You want to get them the experience, but you don't want them to get trounced. You don't want their confidence to
Pulisic plays for Borussia Dortmund in arguably the best league in the world. I don't think we need to be worried about that. Guy's playing against Bayern Munich. He's playing against Schalke. I don't think he's going to be worried about going up against Mexico.
I don't think he's worried about going against Mexico. I'm afraid that maybe he'll lose confidence if he gets thrashed 4-0, which is totally a possibility with the way that Mexico was playing before getting destroyed in Copa America.
Yeah, if we want information on that, we just have to dial south of the border and see how that works out. Siete a cero, amigos.
I just think the young guys are like young pitchers. You bring them along slowly. You try to get the veteran experience to show them how things are done. So because the international level is going to be a little different than your club level.
You're like the parent who puts your kid in he put him in the baby pool, and then he put him in the waiting pool. I'm like, toss him in the deep end, and they'll learn out of necessity.
Just because I taught swim lessons doesn't mean that's the way I teach them.
Throw them in the deep end out of necessity. That's how they're going to learn.
I wish it was that easy, but... we really got to take care of these young guys, though. This is the future of U.S. soccer. They're the ones that have all the technique. They're the ones that are building the actual talent.
They are the future, so let them play. You don't get better by watching. You get better by playing. You get better by playing against better talent.
True, but they're training with the guys.
You don't get better by playing against Guatemala. You don't get better by playing against... Oh, that's not true.
I was going to say, TNT's pretty good.
Okay, but you don't get better by playing against Guatemala. You get better by playing against Colombia, Argentina, teams like that.
But the other thing is that they might not be ready for the travel, having to go into those places. Let's admit, Europe is tough, but it's not like South America and Central America. When you go to those visiting stadiums, it's a different world. Isn't that correct?
But they're going to have to do it in the Hex. They're going to have to do it. So why not let them play against these teams here in the States, where they should have a home field advantage? Let's be honest. A lot of times they didn't, and that's on us.
And we still don't.
Yeah, unfortunately the case. But give them the opportunity. Yeah, if you're going to play in the Estadio Azteca in Mexico City, if you're going to play in Guatemala City or San Salvador, yeah, it's a different world. But let these guys play against the talent, and yes, send them down there, because they're going to have to do it eventually. We can't shield them forever. We've got to send them out into the world and let them fly.
Okay.
We've got to let the little kids leave the house.
Let me ask you this. Are you willing to take like a 7-0, 8-0 loss just to play every young guy the U.S. has against possibly some of the best national teams in the world?
Absolutely. If something comes of it. I mean, I don't think anything came of Mexico's 7-0 loss to Chile. Mexico gave up when it was 3-0. But if we're out there and we're outclassed and we fall flat on our face, but our young guys learn something and they can say, hey, this is what we screwed up on, this is what we need to improve, we've got a long ways to go. If they learn something, I have no problem with that. I had no problem using the entire Copa America as a learning experience. If we lost every single game, that was fine by me as long as something came of it in the long run. And the problem was that we had a good showing, but I don't think anything's going to come of it for 2018.
I think everybody shares your sentiment in the sense that we all want to see the young guys play, but at the same time, I don't think everybody wants to see us lose. And you can imagine if your job is on the line like Jurgen Klinsmann's job is, he's going to play the guys that are going to get him results.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you whatsoever.
I'm not saying that all the
he doesn't want to lose. We don't want to lose. We're Americans. We want to win. That's what we're about. Yeah, I mean, we want to win every game, but sometimes we need to take a longer view instead of just let's win this next match. Let's see if we can get to the quarterfinals, semifinals of a World Cup. Let's do something like that.
It's all cute, man, but we all know that it's results that matter. I mean, all we have to do is go look at Frisco during that USA Youth Championship where those two teams agreed to tie, essentially throwing the match.
Yeah, we'll talk
just
about
to get a result.
I don't know if I want to call it a fixed match, but it may well be the case in the U.S. Youth Soccer National Championships up in Frisco, U18 Girls Division. Talk about that coming up after the break. David Walding, founder and GM of the Central Texas Lobos, our own semi-pro soccer team based out of Kyle. He's going to join us in studio, nice enough to come in early on a Sunday morning. So, hey, Austin soccer fans, there is soccer. We're going to tell you all about it coming up next. This comes in on the text line, 120 million? That's a lot of breakfast tacos. You are right, my friend. More of the throw-in coming up after this. 1049 AM 1260, streaming worldwide on hornfm.com.
Welcome back to the throw-in. Here are your hosts.
All these people are idiots.
Kit McConico and Justin Simmons.
Welcome back to the throw-in every Sunday morning, 9 to 10 a.m. right here on 1049 AM 1260, streaming worldwide on hornfm.com. If you ever missed any of it, you can always go back and listen. We're on SoundCloud, we're on iTunes, hornfm.com. Click on the on-air tab, and we are right there under the throw-in. We invite you to like us on Facebook, the throw-in. We are on Twitter. We're on Twitter. We're all over social media, thanks to Justin.
At the Throw-in ATX. That's how you can find us on Twitter, and we will engage.
Yeah, we absolutely will. And as always, we invite you to join the conversation. Hit us up on the text line, 512-337-3776. Well, we talk a lot of international soccer, as you might imagine, but we try to keep it as local as we can. We're Austinites. We love soccer. We support local soccer. And that being said, we are thrilled to have David Walding. He is the founder, owner, GM of the Central Texas Lobos, our new semi-pro team based out of Kyle. If you haven't heard of the Central Texas Lobos, you can find them on Facebook. They are going to get their league going in October. They had tryouts last weekend. You've got a tournament coming up in Dallas, one in Houston. But for our listeners who are unfamiliar, David, if you wouldn't mind, just talk to us a little bit about this new side to Central Texas.
Yeah, we're a new team in the Texas Premier Soccer League. So we play around the state of Texas. And we're based out of Kyle, Texas. Kyle has been a great host for us. This is our first year in the league. It's a brand new franchise, and we're excited to get things going. We've been trying to set up the foundation, get things going in the right way, and put out a new option there for soccer here in Central Texas.
Well, you unveiled your shirt sponsor, and I know there are a lot of people that are extremely happy with that. You were sponsored by Pernell's Brewing Company. So, hey, Eberle's Army, yeah, it's something you guys might want to take note of. I know they have plans to come out and support you if they have not already. There's so much good soccer talent here in Central Texas. And you guys, the thing that really impresses me is you're corralling that local talent. You're a place for those young players to go. They don't have to go to Houston. They don't have to go to Dallas. They can stay here, and they can play for you.
Right. We're hoping to be able to develop the talent in the area, have some of our players maybe be able to progress, go pro, sign a pro contract, maybe with San Antonio FC, Aztecs if they get going back up again, or Houston, Dallas, some of the professional clubs in the area, and see what they can do. We've got an extremely young team. We're pulling a lot from the local high schools, Lehman High School and Aikens and some of the other local high school teams. So we've got 18. Our team is basically 18-year-olds up to 26.
Well, I obviously see that you have a huge passion for soccer, but I want to know, I think the listeners do as well, what drove you to actually go through with this idea and start this team?
Well, it's something we've been thinking about. We've been playing out at the Austin Men's Soccer Association for a long time. I started the club back in 96. I had lived in Mexico for a while. León fan, Panza Verde. Learned my Spanish back in Guanajuato. Moved back to Austin, and I work in my day job with the immigrant community. I do a lot of nonprofit work, and especially with the youth that are coming into the area. And it was a way to socialize, integrate. It was something everybody had in common, and we could bring everybody together and play out on Sundays and have a great time. And it's just kind of grown out of that.
David, nice enough to bring us some, well, we've got some Central Texas Lobos swag as well. We've got T-shirts, we've got a soccer ball, so give us a shout, caller number 5, and we will give you your pick. If you want a Central Texas Lobos shirt, you want a Central Texas Lobos soccer ball, give us a call, 512-447-3776. Thank you for that. And something that I'm very impressed with is trying to integrate the immigrant community, as you said. And as that community continues to grow here in Central Texas, one thing that we've talked at length about on this show and other people is how you get them to kind of be fans of MLS or USL or whatever the case is. When the Aztecs, in not just the Aztecs, but FC Dallas, Houston Dynamo, they've had issues kind of drawing that fan base. Down in San Antonio, when they would have Tigres come play or Santos, they would sell it out. I mean, when Del Diamond hosted your Panzas Verdes of León and Monarcas Morelia 2 weeks ago, great crowd, close to 8,000 people. Do you have any insight on how you can kind of get that, which is a fervent soccer base? They love soccer, but how you can transfer that passion from a Liga MX side maybe to a USL or a MLS side?
Well, you have to have some connection with the team, with the local team. I know we've brought kids out going back 3-4 years to the Aztecs tryouts, and I thought that was a great start in doing that. We have one of the kids I saw a few years ago who's out of Kyle, is now playing signed a contract at 18 with San Antonio FC. I know you've talked about that, and I think that's kind of the way to get things rolling. I kind of worked with outreach to the Hispanic community in Seattle when I was up at Seattle with the Sounders organization before they went into MLS. And the Spanish language and the marketing is part of it, but it's got to be that local connection. I try to encourage my players who are not from the U.S. to watch a lot of the MLS games. I follow Dallas real close. I try to parallel some of the things we want to do with the players, with some of the players on the Dallas side, for example. And it takes a while. It's not going to be instantaneous, but I think there is some progress there.
A couple of weeks ago, we had Sonny and Willie Guadarrama, which are arguably the two. Sonny, the most successful soccer player to ever come out of Austin from Cedar Park. He played over 10 years in Liga MX. He's finished his career with Dorados de Sinaloa. And I asked him this question. I said, you're born here, your parents are from Mexico, and how do you affiliate yourself? And he goes, I'm from here. I love the U.S. I'm proud to represent the U.S. He played for Mexico under 17. He played for U.S. under 19. But he says, I'm a Mexican American. He goes, this is who I am. I'm bicultural. I'm bi-country, but I love the U.S. I'm from here. And I said, well, I put it even harder. I said, when the U.S. plays Mexico, who do you go for? He goes, I go for the U.S. My parents know their story. But I asked him that, and I said, how do you translate that love of soccer that you have in the Hispanic community, that you have in Mexico, that you have in Central and South America, to the U.S.? And he kind of looked at me and like it was a dumb question. He says, it's happening. People don't understand that it is happening. It may be slow, but if you can get those local players, if you can get the players from that community to come up, and that's what impresses me most about the Central Texas Lobos, is that these are players from the community that the fans know, that the fans can be fans of, and they can go out there and say, my son went to school with him, my son played Pee Wee soccer with him, and that forces them to be all in because they're supporting the community.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I remember going to the very first ever FC Dallas game where they brought in Hugo Sanchez at the time. And yes, the Mexican fans would go out and watch Hugo Sanchez, but they weren't really there supporting FC Dallas. When he left, so did the fan base. So it's something that's got to be kind of built from the ground up. But I agree with Sonny. It's absolutely happening, and it's something that we're seeing.
The other thing is, when it comes to new teams here, the fans, I think we're still trying to figure out what type of fan, like how to cheer for soccer. And I think a lot of the fans from here, they see the English and how they have an influence on their clubs. How welcoming are the Lobos to their Central Texas fan base and input that they may have?
Well, that's one of the things we were looking at setting up the club, is we absolutely want to have that home field advantage, that fan base come out and support us. I think it's going to make a huge difference in our games. I've seen over the last couple of years the TPSL teams where some have that support and others don't. The ones who don't are the ones who aren't going to make it long in the league. So that's why when we were looking at where to play, I'm from South Austin myself, and we had been looking around at San Marcos and some other areas, but the city of Kyle and the city council, the Parks and Rec division, the fan base, the high schools, everybody was so supportive of the team and bringing the team to that area that it was just a natural fit for us. We've got players from that area. We've got a good support from the community. So I'm not worried about that. And we want everybody to come out and support us on the field and see what we can do with that and make a difference in our players.
David Walding of the Central Texas Lobos, our new semi-pro team, the TPSL. They'll play their games down in Kyle. They get league play started in October. They've got a tournament up in in Dallas, the FC Dallas Adult Summer Showdown. That is 2 weeks from today, and then they will be in Houston. But David, you told us a little bit about your team. Talk to us about the coaching staff that Coach Ramos has assembled.
Yes, Coach Ramos is our initial head coach. He was the head coach at Texas State University down in San Marcos. He's played some professional ball down in Mexico before he came here. Naval Academy. He's worked with Westlake and Liverpool academies here in the area, so I think he's going to be a great fit for us. He's been helping put together the actual roster now, so we had our tryouts and have been working on the roster. We had a practice yesterday as our first kind of official team practice and ready to get going with them.
Talking about those tryouts, I mean, is there any little sneak peek that you can give us about the team? Maybe a couple of players that might stand out?
You had over 80 players show up for your tryouts.
We did. It was amazing. 88 players just to highlight the local talent, and it was the level of talent I was very impressed with. You know, I'd been to Aztecs tryouts, to the San Antonio FC tryouts, and it was at least as good as if not better than that. And there was so many players from the local area, and that's what made it so exciting for us. So, but to go out there and have, almost 90 people on the field trying to make the team, it created some great problems for us because we had a lot of people to choose from. We had, took our time to kind of whittle it down and pick a good team, but I'm extremely pleased with the roster that we ended up with.
David's going to stick with us through the break. Nice enough to join us in studio. Again, he brought some Central Texas Lobos shirts. We've got a ball as well, so give us a call, 512-447-3776. Get your Central Texas Lobos swag. Get ready to support the newest team here in Austin. They play from Kyle. We're going to ask him about the future, what he sees as the future of this franchise coming up after the break. Also, a little EPL talk 2 weeks away. Things changing at Old Trafford as we thought they would. As Jose Mourinho taking over. This is the Throw-in, 104.9 AM 1260, streaming worldwide on hornfm.com. Don't go anywhere. Final segment after this.
Welcome back to the Throw-in. Here are your hosts, Kit McConico and Justin Simmons.
Welcome back. Final segment on the Throw-in, 104.9 AM 1260, streaming worldwide on hornfm.com. Go back and listen. We are on SoundCloud. We are on iTunes. We are all over social media, thanks to Justin. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. And David Walding, he is a man of many talents, not only an attorney, he is the owner, founder, general manager of the Central Texas Lobos, our newest soccer franchise based out of Kyle. They play in the TPSL. Nice enough to join us in studio. And he brought some gifts as well, so give us a call, 512-447-3776. Get your Central Texas Lobos swag. get on the bandwagon. We'll talk about that. Some Austin soccer fans feel like they've gotten on the bandwagon once, twice, maybe thrice, and the team hasn't been there. But before we get to that, guys, sign of the times, Brazilian Wendell Lira quitting professional soccer to focus on playing FIFA full-time. How jealous are you, Justin? The guy's going to quit a pro soccer career to play esports.
I am totally jealous, man. I can't even get past Division 6 in FIFA, and this guy's going to have all the time in the world to learn every little nuance to get to Division 1 and be somebody at it. I wish I could live that life, but it's also like the ex-German goalkeeper who decided to give up pro German soccer and decided to try to get a career with the WWE. I mean, these guys just get to live the lifestyle, man. We can only dream about it.
Not only is he a player, I mean, he's a good player. He won the Puskas Award last year. I mean, this guy can play, and he says, yeah, I'm going to give up the cleats and pick up the sticks. Wendell Lira, the Brazilian. Maybe a sign of the times. We'll get behind that a bit more.
Well, you have to imagine he probably likes his training schedule with FIFA a lot more than his training schedule actually having to be on the pitch.
Yeah, I would say that's a little, I mean, with the exception of some thumb workouts, I think it's a little less taxing. But as I mentioned, David Walding in studio, and I alluded to this earlier. I know myself included as a native Austinite, as a soccer fan, a lot of us feel that we put our fandom behind a side here. And for whatever reason, I'm not going to cast aspersions, the team has gone away. And it does not appear that the Aztecs are going to be back in 2017. Our good friend Kevin Lytle from The Statesman penning an article earlier this week. And basically what it comes down to is no stadium, no team. The Aztecs lost money last year. Our good friend Rene Van de Zaan saying that he doesn't have deep enough pockets to fund a stadium on his own. And Bobby Epstein, the man from CODA, saying that he's not going to do it. There's no suitable stadium, and until there is, the Aztecs will not field a team. That is a direct quote. That being said, talk to us about the future of your franchise. I know you're very new, and I don't want to have you look too far into the future, but for the fans that are worried that they're going to get behind this side and that 2 or 3 years down the road there will not be a Central Texas Lobos, what can you say to maybe sail their fears a bit?
Well, I can say I feel them because I've been there with the Aztecs myself and tried to take our time and learn the lessons from that. And so one of the reasons we went with the field, the stadium where we're going to be at, the city of Kyle, is that we think that it addresses all of the reasons that maybe there was some instability with the Aztecs organization and in its many incarnations over the years. So we totally are committed to a long-term permanent fixture there in the city of Kyle. We're going to be working with the city to increase the facilities there, improve the facilities so that we can make it viable for a long time to come. I mean, we've addressed the things you alluded to it with our sponsor, with Pedernales Brewing Company. We're going to have alcohol sales out of the field. That was something that was very important to us. We wanted it to be...
Limit Justin to 2, just a wise word of advice for you.
Hey, man, I like to have a good time. What can I say?
Yeah, and I know Everly's Army's been out there, and they've been excited about that prospect, too. So, but I've been around the Aztecs for a while, and I've talked to a lot of the folks there before setting up this franchise, and we wanted to address some of the things that felt like they were problems in that organization. So alcohol sales definitely one. I mean, everybody wants to go out, watch the game, have a brew or two.
Yeah, there's something about soccer and beer that is definitely the truth.
They kind of go hand in hand, or I guess foot to foot in this case, right?
Yeah, something. Hey, if you can do that, that's you've got some dexterity in the
I'm sure
the toes.
somebody out there can. I'm not that talented myself.
David, for our listeners, where can they find more information about the Central Texas Lobos?
We're getting our website up and going. It's under construction right now, but it's at www.zuzeca.com. That's Zuzeca. A better option would be on Facebook. Look at us for Zuzeca ASC on Facebook or Central Texas Lobos.
Okay, now I have a question about that. Where does the Zuzeca stem from? Because sometimes, I'm looking up your information, I kind of get sidetracked because I'm like, oh, they are the same team, correct?
They are.
Or how does it work?
The Zuzeca is the it's Zuzeca Affiliated Soccer Clubs is the club. Central Texas Lobos is our first team franchise.
Okay.
We do have bigger plans, so not to get too ahead of ourselves, but we have a professional team that will be launched in the Honduran minor leagues next year.
Cool.
That will be also affiliated with Zeka, and then some other plans after that. So we hope to have a lot of options and some growth here for other regions.
So this almost goes deeper than Central Texas.
It does, but Central Texas is our base, our home, and our primary goal is to build soccer in this area.
And Justin, you know what that means? We're taking a trip to Honduras, my friend.
Oh, man, I cannot wait to go to Honduras. I've been waiting to go.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'll go with you.
Yeah, I was looking at David on the other side. I'm like, I'm ready to go. I wasn't joking. I'm serious. Let's go.
For our tryouts, we had just to jump in on that, we had one of the coaches from the Honduran under-20 national team come up and help us with our tryouts. And we're talking with the federation down there, and they're hoping to make Central Texas a base for U.S. recruiting. They've seen what El Salvador has done with the U.S.-based or U.S.-born players and taking them to the national team program, and they're interested in following suit, doing the same thing, and they're looking at Central Texas as maybe a place to launch that.
Well, that's just amazing. It's so great that you can establish that connection with somebody so many thousands of miles away and possibly build that pipeline to where we'll have that for the future.
Absolutely. That's part of the plan.
Hey, soccer's an international game, and you know that better than anyone in your line of work. And as our country continues to change, as the demographics change, and that's, to me, one of the greatest things about soccer. It doesn't matter where you're from, what language you speak. It's simple, and it puts us all on the same page. Everybody loves soccer, football, calcio, whatever you want to call it. The ball was rolled out there. Everybody's together. After the game, it's a different story. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for giving Central Texas soccer fans like ourselves a place to go and watch high-quality live soccer.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and we hope to see everybody out there.
Again, that is David Walding. He is the founder, GM, owner of Central Texas Lobos, our newest side here in the area. They play in Kyle. They are in the TPSL. They start league play in October. They've got a tournament up in Dallas in 2 weekends. That is the FC Dallas Adult Summer Tournament. And again, you can find more information on Facebook. They will have a website up quickly. We will have him back in studio as we get closer to the start of the season. We will get all kinds of updates. He's going to stick with us for the last few minutes we have here. And, well, as we always do, we talk a lot of EPL. Justin, a City fan, the man behind the glass, a big Red Devil fan. And Zach, Jose Mourinho already making his mark there at Old Trafford, exiling 9 players, including Bastian Schweinsteiger. Schweinsteiger's been there 1 year. They're already done with him?
We have FA Cup.
We have no more Louis van Gaal?
I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, he's dropping 9 guys, including Januzaj, some other. It's certainly some turnover there for your Red Devils. Is this a good thing?
Well, we got Zlatan and his all of his wonder and glory.
You have an aging striker, yes you do, who will be there for 1 year before going to LAFC to be their marquee player.
Tight the shirt makes me look stronger, so that's good.
That is a quote from Zlatan in his tight shirt. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Zach's sisters, Melina and Olivia, also here. Olivia, a huge Manchester United fan, and as Justin so correctly said, that does count as child abuse in 23 states.
It's true, man. She gave me that stink eye every time I was like, I'm a City fan. And I see her right through the glass right now. I'm a City fan. This is your chance to your rebuttal. You got anything for me here, Olivia?
What do you have, Olivia?
Talk
to us about your Manchester United fandom.
Who's the best soccer player?
Wayne Rooney.
Wayne Rooney? You seriously putting all your money on the Wayne Rooney bandwagon, all $7 you got?
He scored a bicycle kick against Manchester City.
Oh,
this
is true. That did happen many years ago. But Wayne Rooney's
tough to dispute.
Man, I can't disagree with her. It happened. It happened, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. I really like City's chances, honestly. Of course, that depends on what happens with Pogba. We're assuming he's going to United, right? But Real Madrid can always just swoop in and take him at the very last second. They got the money.
120 million euros.
David, is he worth 120?
I'm a Pogba fan, but no.
No?
No.
I could not agree more.
That.
No.
Can't justify it.
120 million euros? I can't justify 90 million going to Higuain at 28 years of age. I'm a huge Argentine fan. He came from River.
That's what surprises me the most.
You can't pay that much money.
That's what surprises me the most is that he's a homegrown River guy, and you still disagree with this.
I will say, I think Higuain might be the bigger ripoff, though.
Just a tad.
Yeah, that's hard to argue with at that age. Final few minutes here. An interesting story coming out of the U.S. Youth National Soccer Championship in Frisco, a U18 girls game. And people saying this match might have been fixed. Justin, what's up with this?
You know what's super interesting is that I probably should have been working that game, but due to the car troubles I had, thanks again, Mom and Dad, for fixing all of that, I couldn't attend it. But we've seen this before in the World Cup, and that's why they changed their rules. Both of these teams knowing the results that they needed to get going into it, neither one of those teams needed to take a loss, so they both, I think, agreed to a tie. And it's more so, they didn't come out and say that they kind of rigged this up, but you can tell by the way that they played, they look like they agreed to something prior to the match.
Yeah, you can put this on the tournament organizers as well, because this match was meaningless, and I don't think you can fix a match if the outcome doesn't matter. That's just my take on it anyways.
That's also true. But you know, you and I have both worked these big tournaments. There's so many things going on. Some things do get overseen, and this happens to be one of those few oversights.
Hey, interesting news there coming out of Dallas in the amateur ranks. That'll do it for us here on The Throw-In. As always, if you missed any of it, you can go back and listen on iTunes, SoundCloud. Big thanks to David Walding, founder, GM, and owner of the Central Texas Lobos, our own soccer team. Go out and support them. I mean, we've got great soccer fans here in Austin, but we're not going to have good soccer unless we support the homegrown teams. David doing that. Thank you so much for joining us today in studio.
Thank you for what you do, man.
Yeah,
thank
really.
you.
It's been a huge pleasure. Thank you again. You can find more information about the Central Texas Lobos on Facebook. Like them. Go out and support them. Hey, they've got Pedernales Brewing Company as their shirt sponsor. Go out and drink some good beer. Support some good local soccer. That'll do it for us. We will see you same time, same place next week, Austin, right here on The Throw-In. 104.9 AM 1260, streaming worldwide on hornfm.com. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Good MLS action today, including Seattle and LA. Enjoy the soccer. See you next week.